kind of funny because you say you want to be in academia, or yes, you're aspiring to academia. So in academia, you have all of these affirmative action requirements, right? So if a department has to hire and it's two candidates, a Black man and a Black woman, who are they going to always choose? They'll choose, I'll tell you, they'll always choose the Black woman. You know why? They can check two boxes. You know, for the affirmative action, we now have another Black person in our faculty, box checked. And now we have another Black woman, a woman in our faculty. So we can check the woman box. So it's called in academic life, it's called a twofer. You get two affirmative action checks with one person. And now Biden, he hires a Black woman lesbian for his press secretary. You know why? He could check three boxes with one person. Black woman lesbian. Check, check, check. That's the affirmative. That's the identity politics game. Unfortunately, it doesn't work all that perfectly because you think by having a Black woman, you get the Black vote and the woman vote. But after a while, you start alienating Black men. Because how comes we don't get any checks? You know, because they figure, why get one check with a Black man when you can get two checks with a Black woman? Because, you know, women are a minority group and identity politics. You get my point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Biden is attempting to do. He's also a bit on the old-fashioned side. So he's trying to still get part of the white working class. And that's why he gave that State of the Union address, trying to appeal to the working class vote. You will recall maybe that during the 2020 campaign, of all of the candidates, the two who wouldn't get on board for Black reparations,
Mm-hmm.
Bernie and Biden. And that was the signal that Bernie and Biden were still shooting for the white working class. Whereas Hillary Clinton, you remember the basket of deplorables.
Mm-hmm.
She deposited the whole white working class into the basket of deplorables. That was her way of writing them all off. And then she lost the key states. I guess she lost Michigan and Pennsylvania, where the white working class was significant. So that's the first aspect of identity, of woke politics. The reconstituting of the Democratic Party as a identity politics base. Now, let me be clear. Up until recently, minorities in general, as they were called back then, minorities in general, they found their home in the Democratic Party. So it wasn't just a white working class party. Most of the not all, but most of the civil rights leaders and women activists, they veered to the Democratic Party. But it was primarily the working class party. Identity politics was a subordinate role. And you'll even remember, I think, again, you won't remember, but you probably will know that, Martin Luther King, his father, as he called him, Daddy King, he was a staunch Republican.
Mm-hmm.
He gave the benediction at the Republican National Convention. So back then, it wasn't yet the Democratic Party wasn't yet the safe space for African Americans. There was still a contingent that was Republican, as you can imagine, going back to Lincoln, that residue of the Republican Party from the days of Lincoln. Number two, as I've already said, so we don't have to go through it again. Number two, the woke politics has been weaponized by the Democratic Party to stop any class-based movement at its base. So number one, the Democratic Party has reconstituted the party in order to make it an identity politics party. Number two, it's used, it's exploited, it's weaponized identity politics to stop any class-based movement. And so predictably, when the moment of truth came, all of the, as I said, high priests and priestesses of woke politics, they performed their function. They did their job, which was to stop Bernie.
Yeah, the word, there's a reason why I don't use it. And I don't use it because a lot of it has to do with the group think. I don't want people to think that I engage in that sort of identity politics lens, but I think there is a danger of the usage of woke personally, because I find myself politically homeless currently, and I've been politically homeless honestly probably close to 15 years. And when you're outside of the confines of the two-party system, which is used, I think both parties personally use identity politics now. It's only natural that when something sticks, that the opposition is going to use it too. And so I see the conservatives, they use woke to sort of, I feel like almost attack anything that's related to culture. And me teaching culture, I feel like I get mischaracterized at times if people don't delve into the actual content. But when they hear me talk, they have a conversation, they're like, no, this guy doesn't think like I thought he would. But I don't think we should have those notions anyways. To me, it's still a prejudgment. But I do agree that what you're describing is wokeness. Like what you described in the book is wokeness. That's not what I have an issue with. I have an issue with the potential of that word being weaponized against people like myself, the silent people. I think most of the country is independent. If we're talking about political spectrum, most people are independent. We have to basically buy into this bullshit system. A lot of us don't want to be a part of this system. And that would be another thing, reading this book, the Bernie Sanders lens. I don't 100%, I can't come all the way there with the Bernie crowd, because I was a big Bernie person, but I came to the realization that the first time they screw you over, I understand, I give you sympathy. But when they do it again to you, I'm kind of like, are you participating in this scam yourself? Like, do you not realize that you're not going to change within the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party has already told you what their agenda is? They're not going to let an outsider from within the Democratic Party change it up, because you said yourself in the 80s, it was like a labor party. And all those people who were part of labor movements, anybody that they've been able to bring back into the Democratic Party at one point who was radical, they've tamed them down. And like you said, I mean, we've been reduced to identity politics, but I think that there is value to identities. But I think that the way it's used in the political spectrum, it has become just a shit show, personally. But I do think that the overuse of woke can cause another set of issues, depending on the context. I think a lot of it is just a context-based thing, and that's what I would say about it, because I deal with Latin America, for instance, as far as like job hiring, and you mentioned affirmative action earlier. For me, I haven't seen the benefit of it personally. I haven't seen any benefit of it. I'm also competing with people from Latin America. I'm a Latin American specialist. I don't do Afro-American studies. So when people hire me, they hire me strictly for my knowledge of the Caribbean, of Latin America, South America. And I'm competing with other people who are in lit programs. And so we have to know all the writers, regardless of them being Black, Indigenous, white, whatever. And so I can't really speak to that component of affirmative action that you were referring to earlier. I'm not saying that that's wrong what you were saying, but I'm just saying that that doesn't apply to me and a lot of people that I work with, because um, I really believe it's based on your skill and what you bring to the table, and not based on your, because if that was the case, a lot of us would have jobs now. We wouldn't be on the market looking for jobs if we were just getting slots because we were black or women or gay or whatever. Um, but the Bernie Sanders thing stood out in the book, but I'm skeptical because now I'm kind of like, if people keep playing along with the Bernie game, there's never going to be a revolution. There's never going to be any revolutionary output. So I say you have to go outside of the system. We can't keep supporting Democrats at this point. That's the way I kind of read it. But I know a lot of people disagree with me as far as the strategy. I just don't think that you can change the Democratic Party from within like Bernie was trying to do. I think he had good intentions, but I just think at this point, I don't think someone like him would ever have a chance to transform that party.